Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to look at some HTML and some JavaScript. With that, we're going to build a simple quiz. All right. So what do we need? First, we need some paragraph element, our question. Maybe it's, what is 3 times 2? Also, we need some kind of input fields. There's different types of input fields. You can have radio, you can have a text, type equals text, type equals radio, type equals checkmark. So let's take a look at type equals radio. So I have this input element, okay? The input element is self-closing, all right? I gave it an ID, I gave it a type equals radio, and I gave it a value 5. All right, so we know what ID is, okay? That's the identification of the element. Type equals radio. All right, so here it is. It's just this little circle that I can check, all right? So now, why is it type equals radio? Well, some time ago, if you look at old-fashioned radios, they had these dials on them, which you could turn clockwise or counterclockwise. They kind of like that. All right, so they named it type equals radio. We'll look at type equals text in a little bit. The value here is what we're going to extract from the input element. In this case, value is 5. In, let's say, type equals text, you would have an input field where you could type into, and you would extract the value from that. I'll show you that in just a little bit. All right, so now we need, there's something missing here. If let's say I make more input fields, there's no way yet to link them together. We need to give them some kind of name to link them together, right? So let's say the name is question 1. So if I give this question, this fellow question 1, a name of question 1, let's make another one. All right. Let's give this an ID of question 1b. Let's give it a value of 6. Let's change this to 6. Actually, let's get rid of this just for a second. Let's see what happens if these don't share the same name. All right. So I have my 2 input elements. The problem is I can check both. I don't want to do that. I only want to be able to check one of them, but there's nothing that links them together. Again, it's the name that links them together. So if I give them the same name, they're linked together. So now I can only check one of them. Okay, that's what I want. Let's make one more. Oh, and by the way, this is a line break element. Okay, again, another self-closing tag, another self-closing element. All right, so let's give this guy question 1c. Let's, again, type radio. Let's say value 7, 7. All right. So we have a good structure here. We have a question. We have some options. We can click on only one of the options. Good. So we need a button. All right. Click. All right. So we have a button. Okay, so we can click on a button, but it doesn't do anything just yet, all right? We'll come back to that. And lastly, let's give this an ID equals output 1. Oops, output 1. All right, what we're gonna do with this output here, we're just going to, let's say we click on the wrong answer, it's gonna say, let's say something like, this is not the correct answer. Or if we clicked on the right one, it'll say, this is the right answer. Okay, so that's the line break here. So that's all the HTML we want right now. Let's just take a look at it. All right, looks fine. So let's start building our script. The first thing is we need variables to target these elements. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one needs an ID. ID equals button 1. All right. So these all have IDs. Great. Okay, so let's say variable. So we need to target these. So variable let's say question 1a equals document dot query selector. Question 1a. Okay, so what this does is it searches the document and it selects the element with ID question 1a. That would be this one. And all this right here is a variable that stores all this. This is just, again, selecting this element. Okay, so this variable just is this text right here is just selecting this element. All right. So I need that 2 more times. But for question 1b, and question 1c. Okay, so we have these. So we need one for the button, var button 1 equals document dot query selector button 1. Okay, and var out. Ooh, I spelled output 1 equals document dot query selector output 1. Okay, hopefully I did all those right. All right, so we have our 5 variables. Now we need a sum function. Var on click 1 equals some function of, okay, so what do we want this function to do? Basically, we want to check to see if the correct one of these is checked. This is the one we want to be correct. Okay, so we're going to use something called if question 1a dot checked. So what does that do? Dot checked. Dot checked returns a Boolean, true or false, if the element is checked. If it's checked, then this is true. If it's not checked, then this would be false. So if question 1a is checked, we want output 1 dot inner HTML to be equals to the string. This is not correct. So again, what does inner HTML do? It targets this element here, this paragraph element, changes the inner HTML to whatever I set here. In this case, this string, this is not correct. Okay, let's just see what that does, all right? So if I click on this, click this, so nothing happens because I need an event listener. So button 1 dot add event listener. So what this is going to do, it adds an event listener to button 1. So it's gonna, the browser is going to listen for something. In this case, it's going to listen for a click on button 1. When it hears that click, that's an event. When that event occurs, it's going to call the function on click 1. Okay. Great. Okay, so 3 times 2 is not 5. Okay, but I don't have anything here, so these don't, these don't do anything. Okay. So let's add some else if question 1b dot checked, output 1 dot inner HTML is this is correct. Yay. Let's do one more. Else if question 1c dot checked, output 1 dot inner HTML. Oops. This is not correct. Okay. So let's see if we did all that correct. Okay, so 5, this is not correct. 6, this is correct. 7, this is not correct. Okay, great. So we have all this. We have all this done, but you know, maybe when you're writing a quiz, you only want the user to be able to click this once. So what you do is, after all this, we target the button again. So the button 1 dot style dot display equals none. So what this is going to do is, after this runs here, it's going to run this line here, and it's going to change the style, specifically the display attribute of button 1 to none. So let's see what that does. Oh, this is not correct. And, you know, our button is gone now, so, you know, we can't try again. Okay, maybe you want the user to try again, but in this case, we can't. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing. Their score equals 0. So now, maybe we want some kind of score. We want this to be summed over all of our questions. So the only one, this one here. So for this case here, I'll do score equals score plus 1. So again, score starts at 0. We add 0 plus 1, and then score goes to 1. Okay. So we can't see anything right now. Okay, but behind the scenes, the score went from 0 to 1. What we can do is, let's add it down here. Paragraph, let's say ID equals output 3. I'm gonna, this was output score. Output score, okay? Okay, so let's, their output score equals document.query selector output score. Okay, so I have another paragraph element that's going to display what our score is. So let's put that here. So output score equals dot inner HTML equals your score is. Okay, so now something maybe you haven't seen before. So here's a string, your score is. I'm going to concatenate that with the variable score, okay? All right. I'm going to concatenate that with another string out of 2. I'm going to make a second question. That's why it's going to be out of 2. Okay, let's see if we did that right. This is correct. Your score is, well, I need a space. Okay, this is correct. Your score is 1 out of 2. Let's see if we get it wrong. Your score is 0 out of 2. Okay, great. Now, so let's make another question. Okay, so this time let's use a type equals. Let's use type equals text. Okay. So let's do. Let's put a couple line breaks here. All right, let's put a paragraph element. Second question, what is 5 times 5? Okay, so I'm going to change this to type equals text. We don't need a value. We don't need a name because there's just going to be one, but we can have something called a placeholder. Placeholder equals enter answer here. Okay, so well, let's just see what this does. So here is our HTML, here is our question 2 paragraph element. What is 5 times 5? Here is our Here is our text input element, okay? So the placeholder answer, enter answer here, that's just what I put here. I could put, see, this is your placeholder here. Okay, so again, let's put enter your enter answer here. Okay. Oh, and we don't want it to have this same ID. Let's call it let's give it an ID question 2. There's only going to be one version of question 2, so we can just say question 2. Okay, so great. We need another button. Let's give it an ID. ID equals button 2. Button 2. Click. And let's do paragraph ID equals output 2. Okay. Great. Let's put a line break here. So I think that's all the HTML we need. Now it is. Okay, so that's all the HTML we need. Let's just see what we have. We have our question 1. We have our question 2. We have our 2 buttons. Now we need this is the JavaScript for question 2. Well, question 2 is a little bit simpler. There, question 2 equals document dot query selector. Question 2. We need the button there. Button 2. So there button 2 equals document dot query selector button 2. Okay, and we need there output 2 equals document dot query selector output 2. Okay. Looks like that's everything. Okay, we will find out. Okay, so now slightly different type of function, all right? Var on click 2 equals function. So now if question 2 dot value is equal to 20, the string 25, I'll explain that in just a second. If question 2 dot value equals string of 25, output 2 dot inner HTML equals this is correct. Now, for anything else, output 2 dot inner HTML equals, and this is not correct. And let's say here, let's close this, let's close this. Here, score equals score plus 1. Okay, so now why did I put this into as a string and not just simply a number? Okay, I could have put a number, but it won't work. No matter what you type into here, whether it's some words, hello, or some numbers, 25, the output is the string of whatever you typed in, okay? We can use maybe parse float to change that string into a decimal if we want, but let's just check for the string for now. Okay, and now let's do our add event listener to the button 2 dot add event listener. We're looking for a click on button 2, and if so, we run the function on click 2. Okay. a space here. Just one space here. Put a space here. Looks good. Nope. Button 2. Click. So I must have made a mistake on defining my button 2. Button 2 document. No, yeah. See, I don't know what's happening. I keep adding this G. Okay, great. Seems fine. Okay, so let's get them right. So this should be 6. That is correct. This should be 25. Oh, notice that the score went, it said at the end, your score is 1 out of 2. This should be correct, and it didn't change. Because I didn't tell it to change. Okay, so I need to tell it to change. I forgot to tell it to change. So at the end of my function here, so output score.innerHTML, your score is now score out of 2. And let's get rid of, afterwards, let's get rid of button 2. Button 2. All right, let's see. This is correct. Your score is 1 out of 2. 25. This is correct. Great. Your score is 2 out of 2. Okay, so let's try mistakes. No, not correct. Not correct. Okay, so it looks like we did everything right. Okay, so again, you could just make as many questions as you want. You could, you see how, so what is nice about this right here, last thing? You could have a word answer here, like, and I could have this test for the word dog, okay? It could be DOG. You could do so many things with this. All right, so, but I think that's good for now. All right, but, well, thank you.